Alright. Alright. You notice the CP Productions, right?
King James Bible, also known as the Authorized Version, is an English translation of the Christian Bible that was commissioned by King James I of England in 1604 and completed in 1611. It is widely regarded as one of the most influential books in the history of English literature and culture. It has been the standard Bible for many Protestant denominations and has influenced many other translations and versions of the Bible. It is also known for its literary style, poetic language, and majestic prose. Some of the most famous passages from the King James Bible are Genesis 1:1, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth." Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." John 3:16, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." 1 Corinthians 13, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass, or a tinkling cymbal." Revelation 22:20, "He which testifieth these things saith, Surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Lord Jesus." What are some differences between the King James Version and other translations of the Bible? There are many differences between the King James Version and other translations of the Bible, depending on the source texts, translation methods, language styles, and theological perspectives of the translators. Some of the main differences are: source texts. The King James Version was based on the Textus Receptus, a collection of Greek manuscripts of the New Testament that was compiled by Erasmus in the 16th century. The Textus Receptus differs from the critical text, which is based on a wider range of manuscripts, including older and more reliable ones. The critical text is used by most modern translations, such as the New International Version, NIV, the New Revised Standard Version, NRSV, and the English Standard Version, ESV. The differences between the Textus Receptus and the critical text affect some verses and words in the New Testament, such as 1 John 5:7-8, John 7:53-8:11, and Acts 8:37. Translation methods. The King James Version used a formal equivalence method of translation, which tries to preserve the original words and syntax of the source text as much as possible. This results in a more literal and faithful translation, but also a more archaic and difficult one. Modern translations use a dynamic equivalence method of translation, which tries to convey the meaning and message of the source text in a more natural and understandable way. This results in a relevant translation, but also a more interpretive and paraphrased one. Language styles. The King James Version used the early modern English language of the 17th century, which is very different from the contemporary English language of today. The King James Version has many words and expressions that are obsolete, unfamiliar, or have changed meanings over time, such as thee, thou, ye, hast, shalt, wist, prevent, let, conversation, charity, etc. Modern translations use the common language of today, which is more accessible and understandable to the average reader, but also more informal and colloquial. Theological perspectives. The King James Version was influenced by the Anglican and Reformed traditions of the Church of England, which shaped its translation choices and doctrinal views. For example, the King James Version tends to favor the Calvinist doctrine of predestination and the monarchical view of church government. Modern translations are influenced by the ecumenical and diverse traditions of the Christian Church, which reflect its translation committees and denominational backgrounds. For example, modern translations tend to favor the Arminian doctrine of free will and the congregational view of church polity. Who was King James that wrote the Bible? King James, also known as James VI of Scotland and James I of England, did not personally write the Bible. However, he did commission a group of scholars to produce an English translation of the Bible, that came to be known as the King James Version or the Authorized Version. This project began in 1604 and was completed in 1611. The King James Version was intended to be an accurate and accessible translation of the Christian Bible, and has had a significant influence on English literature and language. It's important to note that King James himself was not directly involved in the translation process, his role was more of a patron. The actual translation was carried out by a committee of scholars and theologians. The King James Version remains one of the most popular and widely read versions of the Bible today. Why is it so controversial? The King James Version, KJV, of the Bible has been the subject of controversy for a variety of reasons. Translation choices: the KJV was translated from Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic texts. As with any translation, the scholars had to make choices about how to best represent the original languages in English. Some people disagree with the choices made by the KJV translators. Language updates: the English language has changed significantly since the KJV was first published in 1611. Some people find the archaic language of the KJV difficult to understand, while others appreciate its poetic qualities. Textual variations: there are many different ancient manuscripts of the Bible, and not all of them agree with each other. The KJV is based on a particular set of these manuscripts, known as the Textus Receptus. Some people prefer other manuscript traditions, which are represented in different Bible translations. Doctrinal issues: different Christian denominations interpret the Bible in different ways. Sometimes, these interpretations hinge on the translation of a single word or phrase. Therefore, the choice of Bible translation can become a point of contention. Cultural and historical context: the KJV was produced in a specific historical and cultural context. Some people argue that it reflects the biases and assumptions of that context. It's important to note that despite these controversies, the KJV remains a deeply respected and widely used translation of the Bible. It has had a profound impact on English literature and language. However, like any historical document, it's important to approach it with a critical eye and an understanding of its context. One example of a doctrinal issue related to Bible translation involves the Greek word pyro omicron sigma kappa upsilon nu omega, proskuneo. This word is often translated as worship. However, it can also mean to show respect or to bow down. This has led to debates about the correct way to translate certain passages. For instance, in the New Testament of the Bible, there are several instances where individuals proskuneo to Jesus. In the King James Version, these instances are typically translated as individuals worshipping Jesus. This aligns with the doctrine of many Christian denominations that believe in the divinity of Jesus. However, other translations might choose to translate proskuneo as bow down or show respect, especially in contexts where the individual is not divine. This can lead to different interpretations of the text and potential doctrinal disagreements. This is just one example of how translation choices can impact doctrinal interpretations. It's important to remember that translation is as much an art as it is a science, and different translators can make different choices based on their understanding of the text and its context. This is why many scholars recommend reading multiple translations and consulting with knowledgeable individuals when studying the Bible. Here are a few more examples of doctrinal issues that can arise from different interpretations or translations of the Bible. The nature of God. Different translations can lead to different understandings of the nature of God. For example, some passages in the Bible describe God in anthropomorphic terms, i.e., attributing human characteristics to God. How literally these descriptions are taken can vary based on the translation and interpretation. The role of women. Passages related to the role of women in the church and in society can be controversial. For instance, 1 Timothy 2:12 in the New Testament has been interpreted in various ways, leading to different beliefs about women's roles in religious leadership. Faith and works. The relationship between faith and works, actions, is a major point of contention among different Christian denominations. Some emphasize faith alone, sola fide, while others stress the importance of both faith and good works. The interpretation of passages related to this topic can significantly influence a denomination's doctrine. End times. The interpretation of prophetic and apocalyptic passages, such as those found in the books of Daniel and Revelation, can lead to a wide range of beliefs about the end times, including different views on the rapture, the tribulation, the millennium, and the nature of the second coming of Christ. Baptism. The mode and significance of baptism is another doctrinal issue. Some denominations view baptism as a sacrament and a means of grace, while others see it as an ordinance, and a public declaration of faith. The interpretation of passages related to baptism can influence these views.
Looking to record your next demo? D-Boy Records and Blacked Out Studios for all the things you need to record that perfect song. From mixing, mastering, producers, musicians, singers, and songwriters. Call 424-320-8675. Also, go check out the hot new project from D-Boy Records artist Tiffany Renee on all major streaming platforms. D-Boy Records, Blacked Out Studios. It's the place to free your mind.
Brought to you by
Queen Vibes Apparel, designed with the real queen in mind. I miss the unique beat.
SmooveHouseTV. Catch the adventures of Curly P Monday through Friday, 12:11 Central, Saturday and Sunday, 2:1 Central. The Mr. Unique and Motivational Poet Show, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9-8 Central. The Roll-Up Show with Zeke, Tuesday, 8:30, 7:30 Central. The Mr. Unique Show, Thursday, 9-8 Central. Freestyle Friday, 9-8 Central. Also, you can catch us on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, even LinkedIn. Just go to Smooth House TV, the smoothest place on earth. Brought to you by
I miss the unique beat. Why not?
This is very emotional for me. Time's getting hard, but nobody wants to see. Everybody flowing through their own mind, but inside it's me who I really want to be. I'm trying to take this time to unwind, but this time is hard. This time I can't really get to the places that I want to be, because it's the enemy inside of me. And that is the one that's really against me. I'm fighting a battle that's spiritually. And I'm trying to see the waves, but my eyes won't allow me to see. I have to open up my world to new possibilities and see that the young kid in me is starving for new eternity. It's a blind man's game, but you gotta learn how to be something strong. It's a cold world out there, and sometimes it'll leave you on your own. But you gotta understand that you have the power within, so you can always stay strong. And this life and this journey just might leave you alone. Remember that. It's a fact. But it's okay, because life will always bring you back. Enjoy it and understand it. Cope with it. Because a lot of things always happen in your life. But understand me, you can understand it. Know your heart, live your life, and love your people. Bless.
It's important to remember that the Bible is a complex collection of texts written over many centuries, and its interpretation can be influenced by many factors, including cultural, historical, and personal perspectives. As such, it's not uncommon for sincere and thoughtful individuals to arrive at different understandings of the same passages. This diversity of interpretation contributes to the rich tapestry of Christian thought and tradition. The King James Version, KJV, also the King James Bible, KJV, and the Authorized Version, AV, is an early modern English translation of the Christian Bible for the Church of England, which was commissioned in 1604 and published in 1611, by sponsorship of King James VI and I. D.E. The 80 books of the King James Version include 39 books of the Old Testament, 14 books of Apocrypha, and the 27 books of the New Testament. Noted for its majesty of style, the King James Version has been described as one of the most important books in English culture and a driving force in the shaping of the English-speaking world. The King James Version remains the preferred translation of many Christian fundamentalists and religious movements, and it is also considered to be one of the important literary accomplishments of early modern England. The KJV was first printed by John Norton and Robert Barker, who both held the post of the King's printer, and was the third translation into the English language approved by the English Church authorities. The first had been the Great Bible, commissioned in the reign of King Henry VIII, 1535, and the second had been the Bishop's Bible, commissioned in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, 1568. In Geneva, Switzerland, the first generation of Protestant reformers had produced the Geneva Bible, which was published in 1560 by Sir Rowland Hill, having referred to the original Hebrew and Greek scriptures, which was influential in the writing of the Authorized King James Version. The English Church initially used the officially sanctioned Bishop's Bible, which, however, was hardly used by the population. More popular was the named Geneva Bible, which was created on the basis of the Tyndale translation in Geneva under the direct successor of the reformer John Calvin for his English followers. However, their footnotes represented a Calvinistic Puritanism that was too radical for King James. In particular, the decidedly anti-royalist tone of the Geneva Bible was unbearable for King James I, for he was a strict advocate of divine right. The translators of the Geneva Bible had translated the word king as tyrant about 400 times. The word tyrant does not appear once in the KJV. Because of this, it has been assumed that King James purposely had the translators of the KJV mistranslate the word tyrant as either troubling, oppressor, or some other word to avoid people being critical of his monarchy, though there is no evidence to back up that claim. 8. For his project, King James convened the Hampton Court Conference in January 1604, where a new English version was conceived in response to the problems of the earlier translations perceived by the Puritans, a faction of the Church of England. James gave the translators instructions intended to ensure that the new version would conform to the ecclesiology, and reflect the episcopal structure, of the Church of England, and its belief in an ordained clergy. The translation was done by 6 panels of translators, 47 men in all, most of whom were leading biblical scholars in England, who had the work divided up between them. The Old Testament was entrusted to 3 panels, the New Testament to 2, and the Apocrypha to 1. In common with most other translations of the period, the New Testament was translated from Greek, the Old Testament from Hebrew and Aramaic, and the Apocrypha from Greek and Latin. In the 1662 Book of Common Prayer, the text of the Authorized Version replaced the text of the Great Bible for epistle and gospel readings, but not for the Psalter, which substantially retained Coverdale's Great Bible Version, and as such was authorized by Act of Parliament. By the first half of the 18th century, the Authorized Version had become effectively unchallenged as the only English translation used in Anglican and other English Protestant churches, except for the Psalms and some short passages in the Book of Common Prayer of the Church of England. Over the course of the 18th century, the Authorized Version supplanted the Latin Vulgate as the standard version of Scripture for English-speaking scholars. With the development of stereotype printing at the beginning of the 19th century, this version of the Bible had become the most widely printed book in history, almost all such printings presenting the standard text of 1769 extensively re-edited by Benjamin Blayney at Oxford, and nearly always omitting the books of the Apocrypha. Today the unqualified title King James Version usually indicates this Oxford Standard text.
International pimp player, everybody daddy Curly P, and back up a little bit. Thank you. Yeah, it's your international pimp player, daddy, everybody's. You know how we do it. Curly P, baby. Listen, my boys over there at SmooveHouseTV, Miss Unique and Motivational Poet, they hit me up and said, hey man, we need you to put your pimpin' on the commercial for it. And I said, you know what, Playboy, hey, the best one to do it is me. I'm Curly P. You understand? So listen, me being who I am, Curly P, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead on and bless him. You know, so over there at the Miss Unique and Motivational Poet Show, them boys are always doing good things. Give me a minute. They always doing good things like good shows, and you know, you got the Motivational Poet Show. Hey, don't worry about why I got on swimming shoes. Hey, get your... Y'all don't worry about that. I'm over here watching Rockadika kid. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we got the Motivational Poet Show. We got the Miss Unique Show. We got the Miss Unique and Motivational Poet Show. Hell, we got Freestyle Friday. You know what I'm saying? We even got the Hookah Lounge on Saturdays. You know what I'm saying? But we got a lot going on. Hey, where my coffee at? Okay, I need my coffee. I need it. Give me my coffee. Okay, because I'm not going to keep on. Every time I come over here, y'all always. Yeah, so anyways, sorry about that, y'all. But we got a lot going on. We got songs out, you know what I'm saying? They got Don't Know What You Are Feeling. They got a lot of songs doing their thing, you know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all tune in. YouTube, okay? Monday through Saturday. I'm trying to tell y'all to come on and get what you need over here at SmooveHouseTV. You're not listening to. Hey, bring me. You know what? I'm gonna give me my doggone coffee. You know, hey, okay. I'm gonna show you who I am right on after this. Just keep playing with me. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead on this line. SmooveHouseTV, baby, on YouTube. Check us out. Hey.
You don't have to be dismayed. The game's already played. No more nights alone, I swear. Just call on me.